Good afternoon to all of you, and Happy New Year to all of you. I am Dr. Srinivas Rao, the Director of Firebird International Business School, Coimbatore. Today I am representing AIMS as a moderator for the today's session. And you know that AIMS happen to be one of the apex body, an association which takes care of the well-being of all institutions and management academic community in nurturing the growth and balancing the governance of business schools and bridging the gap between the policymakers and educators, implementing the latest governance of the government, and also enhancing the competency of management education and helping the faculty community in bringing the best people in terms of speakers, the concept of Bodhisha, spreading the wisdom of management education. In those lines only, today we have a session with Dr. Manohar as an outstanding practicing management guru. And the topic is Peter Drucker. The Peter Drucker, the thoughts of management, thoughts of leadership, the relevance for the 21st century. It will be an interesting area of discussion. Whenever we think about the management gurus, normally we start with Taylor, Frederick Winslow Taylor, then Henry Fayol, then father of management, modern management practices, Peter F. Drucker. In brief, all the other two scientific management, father of scientific management, Taylor always focused on the production and floor area, whereas Henry Fayol focused on the administrative part. But when it comes to Peter Drucker, he has gone beyond the boundaries of a workplace. He has gone to the society, he has gone to the governance, he has gone to leadership. And also he says the business lies out of your factory, out of your business house. And the immense work of research work, which is also made him to recognize by the American government. Of course, he was in Britain and later on he moved to America and is the youngest doctorate that he has got in law also. And today his practices, his principles today also relevant when we are at 4.0 standard. So what else that we can have better than Dr. Manohar? A person who happened to be a founder, strategist, either you call it a Rourkela steel plant or we call it Visakhapatnam steel plant. These are the two large public sector where the workforce was more than 20,000. I presume that Rourkela steel plant was in German collaboration, and Dr. Manohar happened to be one of the senior leadership role. He had it and he nurtured it. The way he nurtured, I remember that, of course, we were kids, we were maybe in the colleges those days, just colleges, schools, I don't remember. He brings the huge management practice and the relevance of being an HR person, being a marketing person. He's the only person I think I know in the large public sectors who, had a leadership position. Being an HR person also, he held 5 years, I think, in marketing also. And Visakhapatnam, the benchmarks, what he left from 3 million tons of production to 6.3 million tons of production. He has given the DPR. He's the first person to bring the DPR. He got the sanction from the government of India. And the way he nurtured the steel plant, it is a monument of industrial monument. And he's known for his value-based, relation with the workforce. If I'm not wrong, it started with 20,000 workforce, then, on optimization, it went to 18, then 16. And Visakhapatnam steel plant is the only steel plant where you have more executive officers. And because it is a fully automated, plant with Russian collaboration, and the kind of infrastructure for the, the workforce is made to the world class. It is a smart city. 20, 25 years back only, it was a smart city, Visakhapatnam, the city of destiny, where he became the director and he was in the board of, directors. And also he was a president of India has appointed him in the board of directors. And he led the team at an outstanding level. And today also we feel that who is Dr. Manohar? Dr. Manohar has left benchmarks for the upcoming senior executives of Visakhapatnam Steel Plant, also in the public sector. Dr. Manohar carries multiple academic credentials. He's basically an engineer, having a 3 disciplines. He was a master, he was having a very fine knowledge in meteorology, chemicals, and industrial engineering, then a management graduate, then a doctorate in management, then one of the finest college, which we call NIT VRC Nagpur. He's a graduated from there, and he's in its name in the public sector bodies. He's one of the advisors. So such kind of background and such kind of, management practices, I don't know whether we call, Peter Drucker or Henry Foyle, or we call, Taylor, but I could see a practicing top class leader in front of me, whom I've seen growing from, at multifold and making things to happen at world class. Sir, you're welcome on behalf of AIMS, and a warm greetings from the President Note, Dr. Nandagopal, and other past presidents and other secretariat of AIMS. I welcome all the professors, participants, and practitioners to this wonderful session. And the session will go right now and we'll start immediately. And Dr. Manohar will go with the presentations. Later on, there will be a question and answer session will be there, followed by, you will be given a chat box. You'll all be under mute. And any question that you can put in the chat box, I raise the question for interaction and exploring the wisdom of Peter Drucker. And later on that, all you have the provision to have a feedback form. The moment you get a feedback form, kindly give the feedback so that we understand what else can be developed. After that, all those people who fill the feedback form, they will get a certification, online certification from AIMS. With these few words, once again, I wish all the participants Happy New Year, and let's have a wonderful session with Dr. Manohar. Dr. Manohar, you are most welcome, and congratulations for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am indeed humbled with a very kind introduction that perhaps is out of the love and affection, the regards you have towards me. And as suggested, we'll straight get into the topic. A very good afternoon and Happy New Year. And with this note, we'll get into the subject proper. At the outset, I am extremely grateful to the management of Association of Indian Management Schools, and particularly today's moderator, and Mr. Joshi, who is helping in the channel. Well, friends, as mentioned by our moderator, Dr. Srinivas Rao, this is about the relevance of Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker, you would have seen a number of management thinkers. Most of you being the management faculty members, I'm sure, you would have heard at least 100 management thinkers and authorities who have greatly contributed to the field and wisdom of management. So today we'll just touch upon what is this great soul has contributed. And Peter Drucker lived, for about almost 96 years, 1909 to 2005, as late as 2005. And he is one rare soul. This is Peter Drucker, who has, for about 60 years, he has been authoring different books on management. The spectrum of management with Peter F. Drucker, I would call him as PFD, which PFD has touched is enormous. Anything that you mention under the sun, he has written a book on that. That is the greatness of Peter Drucker. Starting from the fundamentals of management to the challenges. The latest book was 1999, The Challenges of 21st Century. So it is our good fortune that AIMS had given me this opportunity to share some of my learnings out of Peter Drucker's contribution to the area of management. Basically, he had received the JSPL, coming from steel plant. I would use the JSPL as an acronym. He was a journalist, a sociologist, a psychologist, and a doctorate in law. Now, what else is required for the field of management? On these four pillars rests the whole edifice of management, as you all know. And he is one who said management is both a discipline and a profession. Discipline includes tools, techniques, skills, approaches, and practices. The profession basically a formalized education and the practice thereof. As I mentioned, the spectrum which Peter F. Drucker has structured is great indeed. You have leadership, performance management, innovation, measurement, management, organization, entrepreneurship, strategy, and culture. These are some of the main themes which Peter F. Drucker has touched upon. And the contribution he made is totally, I must submit at the beginning of this presentation itself, is totally relevant to 21st century too. The points which he has raised are universal and they will be relevant forever. These are the 6 points. There are certain fundamental paradigm shifts in management which he noted. And he said there are certain certainties which will always remain as certainties and we should base our management on that. And there are 4 requirements of change. Change is the only constant as we keep on hearing. And what are the new information challenges? And the beautiful word, the knowledge worker, all the faculty members, and particularly this IT discipline, they come to be called as the knowledge worker. And I'll in the conclusion, I'll mention managing the self. Now, these are the paradigm shifts which Peter Drucker has noted. Management principles apply to all organizations, whether it is a jail or a hospital or an education institution or a manufacturing concern or a concern which is making atomic bombs, for instance. So organization is a tool, and we have to find a particular type of organization that fits the task. In an education institution, a research organization, which Dr. Srinivas represents, for instance, a flat type of organization is required. In a military, perhaps a hierarchical type of organization is more relevant. Don't manage people, he said. Lead them to improve their performance. So leadership has been his forte always. He has been emphasizing on that. Technologies, users, and information crisscross across different industries. Management scope is operationally defined. National boundaries are no constraint. We have been hearing since 1991 about globalization and all whatnot. So he mentioned it quite early on the day. National boundaries are no constraint. But they don't define your economic boundaries. Management involves everything that affects the organizational results. Please note, this is a very important thing. Now, further moving, he said these are the certainties which will always be certain. But at least for the in this century, total, the collapsing birth rate in the developed world. If you look at the birth rate, it is coming down. The shifting distribution of disposable income, the way performance is defined, global competitiveness, and there is no the growing incongruence means there is no congruence today between economic and political. And these are the main things which Peter Drucker has been focusing upon. Communication within the team. Particularly, I would like to mention that based on my plus 30 years of experience in the industry and about plus 10 years of experience in the academia, which has been quite rewarding to me, communication is the most important thing, particularly in the management field. What every faculty or researcher is continuously doing is communicating. But alas, that being the requirement which Peter Drucker has also emphasized, rarely such kind of communication takes place in the academia. I'm mentioning based on my experiences. I had done, the CEO of one engineering school where 5,000 students were there. And then I worked with Geetham and a couple of other universities, in the management discipline. So based on that, I am making these observations. Evaluating and confirming performance problems. Performance, because most of you coming from the management field, there is a number of tests and whatnot in the academia. But the way the tests are conducted, the way the things are evaluated, the way the results are published, much needs to improve. Hiring the right people, what we call today as the talent management, he identified this as one of the most important things. The managing conflicts within your team, where more than one person is there, there is likely to be conflict. how to do that, and retaining star employees. This is the most important thing. Today, the poaching, which was a common area in IT and ITES fields, it has spread to management institutions also. I remember in my latest stint in Geetham University, Hyderabad, a person joins there with the X, package, and then another institute invites me X plus Delta X. He doesn't, even think about for a minute. He joins, he leaves and goes there. Now, in such a situation, how to retain the employees? Drucker has also mentioned by constructing an acronym, SI requirements, a change leader. Today, change is very important. Today, I'm able to talk to you with a Zoom platform, thanks to some of the byproducts of COVID, which we had, I would say, enjoyed for the past 3 years, is because of this technological improvement. So, what Drucker says, abandonment of the outworn, outgrown, and obsolete. If 4,000 odd B schools or schools imparting management, you look at the syllabus. Most of the thing is outworn and obsolete. I can both say for that. Barring a few, who are members of AAMS, continuous productivity improvement. The productivity has to improve continuously. If tomorrow we work with the same thing as today or yesterday, that's not the way things should be managed. Now, exploiting success and innovation. Innovation is oxygen today, whether you are in the educational field or any other field. So having said, friends, he has contributed immensely to a whole and wide spectrum of management. I have chosen the most important thing is leadership position. Because all the faculty members who are kindly attending this conference, I would say and emphasize that you are in the leadership position. And this leadership position in the industry, you will be supplying the leadership to the industry. So which means your responsibility is much more than the leaders in the industry, be it manufacturing, service, or what have you. Now, these are the 5 important things which he mentioned. One person can make the difference. One person can make the difference in any industry. You would have seen Jack Welch, for instance, which we keep on mentioning of General Electric, who was a disciple of Peter F. Drucker. Now, with his sharp focused strategies, he has improved the productivity of General Electric by 4,000%. Imagine, 40 times more than what it was obtaining when he took over as the CEO's position. Most people become successful only through the help of others. This is an important thing, particularly in the educational field. My observation, again, limited. Every professor thinks that he is confining himself to his cell. I should publish research paper. I should author books, book chapters, or whatever. You've got your own jargon. Now, but remember, all this is possible only when you work through others. So the kind of cooperation, collaboration, etc., which is obtaining or existing in the industry, it perhaps, to my little mind, is not available in the educational field, and which needs improvement because the kind of importance that is being given to the educational field, particularly after the national education policy, is immense. You don't need to be a manager or to be a leader, which means all leaders are managers, but all managers need not necessarily be leaders. So leadership and management, Peter F. Drucker was the first person to distinguish. The essence of leadership is very simple. You have to just start trying for achieving your goals and objectives. Good leadership depends on good deals or pleasant working conditions. You have to show results. That is the thing which Peter F. Drucker was all the time emphasizing, you see. Now, the 3 essential rules of great leaders. I'm sure there are great leaders among the people who are attending this conference, and I want to be greater and greatest. So, first thing we should try, the 3 essential rules, is to reduce ambiguity. Today, there is a lot of ambiguity. You heard about that VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguity, etc., etc. Reducing ambiguity. A teacher has to impart knowledge to skills to the students, where today we have got about 120 disciplines. So the person really gets shocked by looking at that. So the leader, the faculty member, has to come out with specific strategies and his own methods of reducing that ambiguity and imparting the right education to the student. Be fair. Now, this is an absolute thing which is required in the education institution. I observed in the industry, the amount of fairness that is obtaining is much, much greater than the one which is obtaining in the education institutions. And stay positive, most important for education institutions. Now, moving forward, leadership is an achievement of trust. You just see, if an institution has got about 12 faculty members, now it has got about 1,000 students, which two faculty members, the 1,000 students trust more? It is a yes. So that is the trait of leadership. You have to develop trust amongst your clients, amongst your customers, amongst your students, etc. Now, another thing, which is a lot of debate has gone, but Peter F. Drucker said, there may be born leaders. We are seeing, particularly in the political field. So the born leaders may be there, but there surely are far too few to depend on them. We can't depend on the born leaders always. Leadership, this is the most important statement which Peter F. Drucker made. Leadership must be learned and can be learned. And that's why there are 4,000 management institutes. Now, this is a beautiful thing which Peter Drucker mentioned. I'll narrate one example also. The leaders who work most effectively, it seems to me, said Drucker, never say I. Now, this is the fundamental thing. Most of the times I find faculty members say, I have published 30 papers. I have published, 3 books. I have done seminars, etc. Fine. When you're sitting across the table for your annual performance of presentation, you join. But when you are facing the world, always use the word. The most important word is we, not I. Now, for this, one of the best examples is, I'm sure you are able to identify who's this gentleman or who is this gentleman, his boss, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and his boss, chairman, Satish Dhawan. Now, in 1979, APJ Abdul Kalam was the director of one satellite project. Yeah, so they worked very hard and the satellites were ready. It was ready for launch. And it was launched. There were 4 stages. First stage was successful. Second stage, no. It fell into the Bay of Bengal. It was a failure. And APJ was very much perturbed, naturally, disturbed, depressed, and whatnot. Then obviously, in India particularly, so is everywhere, there will be a press conference. Now, in the press conference, Satish Dhawan came to his boss, came to Abdul Kalam and said, don't worry, I will face the press. So he went to the press and said, it is my failure as the leader of the team. And my boys, my team has done exceedingly well. And I promise, said Satish Dhawan, that in another year, my boys will put their strengths together and they'll come forward and make a new satellite. And true to that, on 18th July 1980, the second satellite, the new modified satellite was launched into the space. It was a success. Now, this is not the end of the story. This is the start of the story. Then now here Satish Dhawan, now he says, you go and handle the press conference to APJ. Now APJ says, sir, it is all you have done. No, you are the leader of the team this time. So you go and face it. Giving credit to the team members, giving credit to the subordinate, and taking blame on oneself. No, this is what Peter F. Drucker said is one of the distinguishing characteristics of a leader from the other people. See? Now, yeah. Now, the first and foremost job as a leader is to take charge of your own energy and then help to orchestrate the energy of those around you. I had seen, I'm not making any special reference to any particular institute, but several education institutions, morning, whether it starts at 8 o'clock or 8:30 or 9 o'clock or what have you, I'm not referring to the COVID situation. Now, there are 50% of the faculty members who come to the institution in this fashion. You can see, I need not narrate. And another 50% are coming in this energetic fashion. You are the faculty member. You are the influencer for hundreds of people whom you have taken the cudgels of making them the best citizens of this country. How you can be like this? Representing, I don't want to use an adjective. You first and foremost job as a leader is, you show you are energetic. So this energy, which faculty member, which leader shows, obviously he will have developed a very good team. If we keep, then another very important characteristic of leadership is, if we keep on doing what you did yesterday, you will get the same result tomorrow as well as today. This is a famous saying of Peter Drucker. Let us see how he mentioned. If leaders are unable to slow off yesterday, to abandon yesterday, they simply will not be able to create tomorrow. A very, very powerful statement. I know education institutions for decades together, they have the same syllabus. You have to shun the syllabus. You have to change the syllabus. You have to change the strategy of teaching, and then only you can survive and be successful in your process of making and producing leaders. Yeah. So, example, if you look at the iPhone, did it remain as iPhone? What model you had in 2007? It went on changing. This is what is required. Shun yesterday. Forget about yesterday. Remember the lessons of yesterday. Now, this is how the development took place. A very relevant thing. Now, no institution can possibly survive if it needs geniuses or supermen to manage it. This is another fantastic statement which Drucker made. He said, management, he is more focusing on leadership. Leadership is producing the extraordinary out of the ordinary. That is what he says. So if an organization says, no, I need only geniuses like Isaac, like Isaac Newton or Einstein, etc., then that organization will not be able to succeed in its goal. From ordinary people, you have to turn out extraordinary people. That's what Peter F. Drucker has been insisting upon. Effective leadership. The word effective has come, I humbly feel, because of the prominence that Peter F. Drucker has given to this word effective. Effective leadership is not making speeches. I am trying to make now. Or, some of the chief ministers, they make, effective speeches. Wherever they go, there will be lakhs of people attending. The thousands has gone now. So effective leadership, Peter F. Drucker says, not about making speeches, which are liked by the audience. Leadership is defined by the results, not attributes. I was just saying there are about 2,158 attributes for a leader. You put all the attributes in alphabetical order, and today anything is possible, 4th industrial revolution, 5th, 6th, and whatnot. I can produce that kind of a person with so many attributes. Can he be an effective leader? Questionable. Now, the three most charismatic leaders, again, many of the times we say a person who looks beautiful, who looks charismatic, may be a better leader. Need not necessarily be so. If that were so, this century, this is 20th century, inflicted the most charismatic leaders, this Hitler, Stalin and Mao, they inflicted so much destruction to the humanity unimaginable. So charismatic personality is not the characteristic of leadership. Leadership is not magnetic personality, continuing on that, or a glib tongue. There are people who can speak flowery English. Who was it? Who is that minister from Kerala? Fantastic English, even rickshaws cannot speak. He's a good leader. I'm not telling anything against him. But alone is not leadership. Leadership, this is the most important thing. Leadership is lifting a person's vision to higher heights. The raising of a person's performance to a higher standard. The building of a personality beyond normal limitation. Now, this is leadership. Dronacharya, for instance, has produced his disciples who were better than himself. Imagine, that is the humble duty of every faculty member. Andrew Carnegie, who is the father of steel industry in the US, on his tomb, it is written, there is an epitaph. It says, here lies the source of a person who throughout his life has produced people who are better than himself. Whereas in some of the faculty members I have seen, they cut down the intelligence and enthusiasm of the student for reasons best known to them. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the things, right things. Now, you can have any number of stories, but I feel all the honorable members who are attending, you may be having so many other things to do at this point in time, 3:30. The right thing you thought is to enrich your knowledge by attending AIMS conference. So that is the right thing. That is what you have done. That means you are already in the ladder of leadership. Take it from me. Now, there are a number of other areas. So I'll quickly, it is already 2:30. I'll just go through that, then we'll come, These are the 5 proactive steps for effectiveness. What are the 5? Manage your time, most important. Contribution, then building on strengths, set priorities, effective decisions. Knowledge has to be improved, challenged, and increased constantly. The best way to predict your future is to create. If you want something new, you have to stop doing something good. I already mentioned the most important thing in communications to hear what has not been said. Please think, this is a very loaded statement. In communication, I should be able to decipher which is not being said. Think of it. The purpose of business is to create a customer. What is measured? This is a $1 billion statement which Peter Drucker has mentioned. What is measured will improve. And that is why you have, assessments, examinations, YOC, so many things. If you don't measure anything, it will not improve. And in measurement, I am making a very alkaline statement. In measurement, we Indians are poor. We do not want to measure. Business has only 2 functions. Results are obtained by exploiting opportunities, not solid. So opportunities are to be exploited. COVID in its wake has given many opportunities. I'll move further because I'm finding my moderator picking up the mic. So these are some other things,
No, sir, you have a time. We'll manage. You can go in detail.
Okay, no. Say what Peter Drucker has mentioned about challenges in 21st century. There are 3 basically. The new economic logic, the economics, the alphabet of economics is changing. The climate change and COVID-19 had its way. Now, in the wake of this thing, there are 3 things. WWW, not World Wide Web, but workforce and workplace. So in these 3 places, enormous amount of changes have come. You see, the top skills, which Peter Drucker has predicted much ahead of the times. I will see there are 15 listed there, and the source is Job Survey World Economic Forum. Analytical thinking and innovation, who says it is not important? Creativity, originality, and initiative, wonderful thing. Reasoning, problem solving and ideation, persuasion and negotiation. These are the fundamental things which will have more emphasis in the 21st century in which we are already living. Now, this is the kind of factory which will be there. Now, this is how steam engine was there. Now, this is the Perseverance, which is there on the Mars. Now, Mars from Earth is about 500 million kilometers. So from here, by pushing some buttons, not from your mobile, but some other faster gadgets, you can control that, whether the camera should be north, south, east, west. Now, that is the way the technology has developed today. Now, this is the depicting the industrial revolution. First it was steam, then electricity, then electronics, then digitization. And to continue on 4, you have today smart factories, smart products, employees, strategy and organization, smart operations, smart people, smart students, smart professor. And the other day I was telling my student, you should have a smart wife also, fitting into the requirement. Yeah. Now, the 4th industrial revolution basically is focusing on technology, ethics, access and inclusion, new frontier, job and demand, governance, agile technology. There are about 57, micro things which Industry 4.0 has affected. Now, Industry 4.0 is there, but 5.0 is already there. Now, 6G is already there. This is Industry 5. Now, these are the application. Now, this is the way things are going to change. The interaction or interplay between humans and machine in 2025 is going to be the brown one is humans. The blue one is human, the brown one is machine. The intervention of machine is going to increase. Now, these are the 9 different fields. If I take an average, 50% in 25 will be done by machines and an equal amount by the humans. The intervention of machines, whether you call it 4.0, 5.0, and tomorrow 6.0, this is how CEO's tasks will be changing. Now, we look at this. To increase the number of telephone users to 1 million, 100 million, it took 75 years for telephone. See? Now, for Instagram, it just took 2 years. And the famous Candy Crush saga, just 1 year. In 1 year, you can get 100 million customers. This is the pace at which it is developing. This is relevant for faculty members. Today, the key subject, 3 hours and 21st century themes are standards and assessment. 50% of the time of a faculty member today, he feels, I'm not feeling, and it is not true also, is spent in only answering standards and assessment. There are a dozen different types of assessment going on parallelly in any management or engineering school. And curriculum and instruction. Professional development, you should not lose track of. Management is both professional and is a discipline, Peter Drucker said. It is rightly reflected here. Now, learning environment, most of the schools, I do not want to mention, some of the premier schools, the infrastructure and the learning environment includes infrastructure too. Now, life and career skills, learning innovation skill, critical thinking, Peter Drucker mentioned much earlier in the day. Communication, he said, communication, you should hear what is not being said. Collaboration and creativity. Creativity innovation is the oxygen for development, he said. Information, media, and technology. No, these are the things which he had foreseen long, long back. So that is the greatest contribution which Peter F. Drucker has made. Yeah, and which is useful in the future. Now, what we may think, the future is faster than you think. We think that, okay, 21st century, 2100, today we are in 22, another 70, 80 years is their type. No, it just comes like that. So we have to brace ourselves up and understanding what Peter F. Drucker has given to this world in the area, in the game of management, and implement those things for better results, which will help not only the institution, but the society and the world at large. So this is what, in a nutshell, I wanted to share with you, friends. Thank you very much. And now I'm open for...
Yes, sir. It's a wonderful presentation, sir.
Thank you.
You covered a lot, the wide spectrum of management knowledge. Now, before the participant, puts on the questions,
yes, please.
Further to that, I am on, participants can put their, some questions, maybe some exploring ideas where things can be evolved on the management science. In between, I'll try to explore some practical knowledge from Dr. Manohar. And one of the question goes to you, sir. Always I wonder that you had a workforce of, I think during your time when you were a director HR in Vizag steel plant, you had a 16,000 workforce. And always you are known for the inclusive culture, and I have not seen a major strike during your period. What was that strategy that you implemented, sir? What was the management principle you implemented? Of course, there were some unions were there, but always you negotiated in such a way that nothing came so blow up. And the land acquisition, what you did, I think 1,000 acres land, sir, that was during your time?
Oh, no, the land for Vizag steel is 26,000.
26,000, my God, yes. Absolutely, yes. So these are the, before while you're presenting the DPR to the central government, and what was the strategy, what was that patient quotient that you implemented in nurturing such a large, the whole thousands of villages, and as well as managed during your time so sophisticatedly. Some three important qualities that you would like to tell us so that we also put in academia this.
Wonderful. You have touched my heart because this has been my forte. I worked in Rourkela Steel Plant till 1981, from 72 to 81, immediately after my 1 year's service in RDC Warangal as a lecturer.
Yes, sir.
I would mention, because this has got a bearing on what you have asked. Right?
Yes, sir.
In a typically, as a management trainee, when a young person joins from the college, there is a scientifically designed training program, which takes place, was about 1.5 years. So in 1.5 years, about 6 months, the person is given a general idea about the whole organization. Then a particular department, a steel plant typically has 72 departments, In a management, a big one, if you go, there may be 10 departments, but here about 72 departments are there. So in the first 6 months, there will be a plethora of tests, interviews, and whatnot. So about 1,000 marks evaluation is done, the merit list is prepared. And the vacancies which are available in the 72 departments they are matched. The whole thing is done by the computer these days. So the person who gets the meritorious rank 1, he is given an option. Where do you want to go? So when the option was given to me from the metallurgical discipline, I was topping the list. I said I would like to go to training and development. This is in the Indian steel industry, I'm happy to say, the first time in a public sector, private sector taken together. A management trainee who comes fresh from the college is opting for training and development as his priority. Never it happened. And so obviously they asked me to get up from the chair and walk across the room to test whether my feet and hands are in order. No, this was the kind of complex people who are opting for training. And today the thing, lot of water has flown into Hussain Sagar in Hyderabad. So the things has totally changed today. Yeah, maybe the best brains are coming to the learning and development district. So from such a situation, when I came to Visakhapatnam, it was, as Dr. Srinivas Rao mentioned, it has come on a totally different footing. Whatever, negativities or shortcomings were there in the existing steel plant, be it Durgapur, Rourkela, Bhilai, Bokaro, etc., all those things have been addressed in the DPR stage itself. So the first thing was maintain good relations with the unions. No, the unions, what is it they want? They want, there are a number of land users, about 65 villages have been uprooted, mostly fishermen and agriculturists. Now, some of these people should be given employment. Now, this is a very big thing, You have on one side modern technology, which demands high skills, and other side, you are forced to give employment to people who are coming from agriculture and fishermen community. How to make these things into harmony? Very difficult. But we had, I did not mention, elaborately here, proper training programs were developed and the unions were also happy. We had come to Hyderabad at that time. Dr. Rashekar Reddy, who was the chief minister, a number of ministers also helped us. And this had come about the expansion stage. So in every stage, there was a tripartite agreement. That means maintaining good industrial relations is the one thing. Then you specifically said, when I moved into the leadership position of the director, regular meeting, communication meeting with the unions is a must. Most of the time what happens, meeting unions is not such a pleasant job, you see, because they would always rub and bring about issues which are not very comfortable to you. But we said, no, once the timetable is given, the meeting should be conducted. And not like that, you conduct meeting 3 to 4 and you come at 3:45 and close at 4 o'clock. I'm very happy, I must mention, that AIMS has started this meeting sharp at 3 o'clock. Whether 10 people are there or 15 people are there or 100 people are there. Now, this is the kind of discipline we have to judiciously inculcate in the place wherever we are working. So coming back to the unions, unions generally what they want, generally we lose sight of that is, recognition for them in the society, appreciate them when they are doing good thing and be with them. It's not that only for the managerial folk. You organize picnics, you organize seminars, you organize conferences, etc. No. The more you invest in the workman, more benefits will accrue. Let me tell you from my experience. So there were about 26 unions, I'll mention one practical happening and close with that as an answer to what you said. So all these 26 union members, we are meeting regularly and deliberately, this has been experimented only in Visakhapatnam Steel Plant. We encouraged the starting up and sustenance of spiritual organization. I, for instance, was the founding secretary of Chinmaya Mission. And there are about 32 spiritual organizations which are present in the township of Steel Plant. There is Satya Sai, there is Shirdi Sai, there is, whatever you mentioned, SSY, YSS, then Sadhguruji. All these things have got a chapter in the township. The beauty of that is, I'll mention now. So when I had taken the meetings, etc., in the capacity of director, there was one person, who was coming and standing at the back of my chair. He weighs 120 kilograms. And if he just drops his hand on me, then I will reach faster to the, other locus. So such is ferocious presence. Anyway, we moved on, Then after, on the day of my retirement, I called him. It may not be appropriate to mention the name, but in Vizag, the name of Appa Rao is very common. So I can always call Appa Rao. Appa Rao, he is not Appa Rao, XYZ. So then he really, why you were standing there? Now here comes the climax. He said, sir, you forgot. We both attended SSY program, Siddha Samadhi Yoga program, for 14 days, starting at 4:30 in the morning ending at 5:30, and again evening at 6:30 to 7:30. And the values, the ethics which were imparted, we both led together. So I was standing behind you only to see if any of the unwanted element from the unions comes anywhere near you within 1 meter, I'll pounce upon him and remove him. No, I was standing there. You see?
Fantastic.
Kind of a response, how do you get? It gets much hard work, spending time, communicating, sitting with them, understanding their issues. It's not, they also know, you also know that 100% of the problems cannot be solved. But at least listen. Listening solves half of the issues. Please take it from me. Thank you very much.
It's wonderful, sir, that now what I see that you're not only you are preaching the Peter Drucker, but you're practicing. You practiced it. So I want to prove that you have practiced all the same things what we have spoken so far. One of the, 4 more important principles of Peter Drucker is always management is all about human. Management should be defined as an organizational value, objectives, goals, and mission. So in the present expression of the case, how did you handle the union? How did you handle the team of 16,000 workforce? You always believe in the values, objectives, goals, and mission of the organization, and also treating all the workforce as a human. So the practicing principles of Peter Drucker has been implemented by you. This is one of the success story. Hypothetically, it was there. Practically, you proved it. So the second, still I'm not getting any questions so far, sir. Everybody says excellent, nice session, but yet to get some questions for exploring the management science in tune to the 21st century. So before they ask, I would like to go and ask few more questions now. So we have a model curriculum, written by AICT, by the top management gurus of IIMs and other universities, where the 15 skill sets what you have projected for 25, and it is a future job survey also from the economic form. So one of the skill which is always my personal choice, resilience and stress tolerance and flexibility, and which I want to nurture with the young managers of today. And this is where resilience is missing, stress is missing, and flexibility is missing. Because this requires an extraordinary competency in involving ourselves. What would you say on the resilience, stress, tolerance, and flexibility, sir?
Yeah, in my mind, stress, resilience, and flexibility, they mean the same thing.
Yes, sir.
So long as a person is alive, stress will be there. You have to accept it. Yeah, because you want to achieve something. Yeah, for which you have to put in some. So the moment you try to put in some efforts, there will be counter forces acting. So that results in stress. Whatever you want, the world is not like that. You have to change. So that's why stress will be there. Now to understand that stress shall be there, and there are different types of stresses, there are any number of techniques available for overcoming the stress. Rather, I would not say overcoming, minimizing the ill effects of the stress. So for minimizing ill effects of the stress, today the world over, and thanks to the current leadership ruling the country, they have influenced the UNO also. 21st June is celebrated throughout the world as the International Day of Yoga. There is nothing I practice, so I am telling, better than practicing, any amount of yoga, even if it is 2 times left side, 3 times the right side, that also is enough for relieving the stress. Why people do not get the results is we don't practice it. So I give simplest example. Everybody knows that if you get up at 5 a.m. and go for a morning walk, your health will be better. Who doesn't know? My students know, my professors know. But my students, I have really counted when 5,000 students were there at Kakatiya Institute of Technology, Warangal, where I was presiding over as its director. How many actually go? I can tell precious little. It is 1%. It is just 1%. So why this happens? Because people are not able to appreciate that. So for this, what we should do, the faculty, the leader should first come. If the leader is coming and standing in the ground at 4 a.m. in the morning, more often than not, other people also will come. So self-example is the best way of motivating people. So this is one dialect. Now resilience, resilience is one you should be able to absorb the shocks when you're traveling on the road, and particularly, I don't know, I hear in Bangalore roads, the hospitals are getting less patients because the delivery is taking place on the road itself. Because of the beautiful roads, the pregnant women, they are facing the shocks and delivery is happening in the, maybe a little bit of exaggeration. So the roads, the technology, the other things, the vehicle in which we are traveling should be proper enough to absorb those technology. So resilience today in this VUCA, there is another VUCA word also, is one of the most important things, resilience, for which, the number of ways are available. A circle, a point has got 360 degrees. So there are 360 different things available. You pick up one. You pick up one and follow. So flexibility. Now, third point. Flexibility is, one has to be flexible. Today, particularly in the Indian millie, you ask any parents, they say, my ward should go for either engineering or medicine. Now, this scenario is changing gradually, but apart from engineering and medicine, there are at least hundreds of different professions, particularly in the digital age, the kind of work which we may require to do, it is not there in the syllabus. By the time the student comes out of the school, he may have to do work which he has not heard in the syllabus, in the classrooms, in the workshops, in the seminars, etc. So that's why the person has to be mentally flexible, to work anywhere. I have found, particularly, I am making a estimate, simplifying too much, oversimplification. The culture of Telugu people, unfortunately, is not to move out of their place. I graduate from a school, and if I get a job within 1 kilometer radius of that, I'll be very happy. Things are changing. Today, lakhs of people are, crossing the seas and going to any number of different countries. So the flexibility also important thing. Particularly in industry, what they see is whether the candidate is flexible enough. Today, I put him in one function, one department, one discipline. Now, tomorrow, my priorities are changing. I'll shift him to another department. Now, if this fellow says and brings a lot of pressure, no, you have put him in the production planning, let him remain only in the production planning or in research and control, only research and control. Now, such people are not going to have the future. So, flexibility also is very important. Now, this comes by continuous learning and development and changing the mindset of the people, like what AIMS is doing today. It doesn't come overnight. This has been my, conviction. It comes over a period of time and with strong practice. That's what is my submission.
It's a wonderful way, sir, that you have, elaborated the three aspects. And this is all inside of a human only. It is not outside of a human. It's all Absolutely. Inside the mind state of human. And today we have two sides of, the society, sir. One is where data-driven society. We all believe in the data-driven and data analytics and business analytics. We are living on the review world, where the reviews are the, recommendation, agents for our, behavior of self-behavior, societal behavior or business behavior. Other side are young, generation are too creative, very creative. And when data is always very rational, other side is very creative. When we talk about data, it is more of rational mind. When you talk about creativity, it is more of emotional mind. How do we combine together to create a productive society? And your wisdom of words is needed because you happen to be in the world of 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and also now you have crossed 20 years and more, the 21st century and the new millennium, children's age, where the new millennium are getting to graduation and getting into the professional program. What do you say on this, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Data is being used more and more today, but data has been in existence. If you look up into our the Vedic period, they said Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, etc., Treta Yuga. Now, each one had 4,32,000 years. 432,000 years. So how? The data has been generated, the data has been posted, the data has been kept for retrieval, easy retrieval. This is one aspect of it. Now, second thing, no doubt, the data has assumed much importance today. I need not give the examples, etc. Whether it is, ordering a thing or keeping the data, payroll, etc. of the employees in a huge organization. An organization like American Army, where more than 1 million people are there. Now, how will you maintain the data? It is definitely you have to maintain a systematic, which is not just capturing and maintaining. You should be able to retrieve and use it for productive purposes. That is more important. Now, my humble observation has been, particularly in data science is one, we'll come to that. Particularly when it comes to statistics. Statistics is the fundamental foundation for data management. Now, whenever I think of statistics, Indians, in my view, are poor in statistics. Because statistics is a system I have very close to my house in Hyderabad, in SOFI, International School of Data Sciences, etc. Now, there, once I met the director of that, fantastic person, anything you say, he will convert it into data. How many credit cards should be there in India in circulation today? So he will convert that into data. So data is very useful. And that's why one of the highly successful corporate managers in India, Mr. Narayan Murthy, you must have heard, he always says, I believe in God, but you must come with data and facts, figures and facts. If you are not coming with figures and facts, please don't enter my room. So such is the power of data. And, I keep on interacting whenever I go to US to my children who are staying. It is about around 2015 when I made my third or fourth or fifth visit to the US. Then I was presiding over as the director of Kids Engineering College. So I always take and interact, as you said, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Alpha and all that. Because they are more technical savvy, etc. Then I said, what we should do? He asked me, how much area is there in Kids Engineering College? I said, 70 acres. So can you separate about 5 acres? He said, 5 acres, now some tree plantation, something. No, tree plantation, okay, that to keep it there. Can you get 5 acres? Then he said, to data center. So whenever we go in Washington, D.C., from their house to the airport, on both sides, we see data center. What is a data center? A huge shed where, servers are there. They just store the data. Whenever I am speaking this or inputting something, etc., all that is stored. So this data center is a wide facility is there for that today. Enormous amount of scope is there for this data centers one. What you require is a huge area, perfectly air conditioned, and people who have 24 hours, maintenance, vigil on that. So this is one aspect of that. Now, the other thing is, I was asking, our back again in 2015, every day the data science is improving and changing. I said, why are you not introducing artificial intelligence and machine learning as an elective, at least in computer science engineering? Then they said, no, sir, we are bound by university rules. No, first you introduce, then we'll see. If the university's people raise an objection, I will answer that. So this is how. And then, in one stroke, all engineering colleges in Hyderabad, they are introduced, irrespective of the discipline, civil, mechanical, electrical. AL and ML is one subject applied to that particular discipline.
So I'll take questions, sir. Now questions have started.
Yeah.
We have limited time. Some questions are there.
Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. Santosh and Prabhat to everyone. Hi. And this is a question regarding Bani cell. And brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. This is a new term like VUCA. Further to VUCA, the new term has come called BANI, brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible society. So you can put your recommendation on this, sir. How it is different, how you said that VUCA, but now we are in the BANI world. How Peter Drucker principle will very effective. It's very effective. The principles of Peter Drucker in relation to brittle, anxious, and non-linear, incomprehensible world.
Incompressible or
Incomprehensible, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Now, whether it is incomprehensible or comprehensible, the fundamental, effort, the fundamental focus points will remain the same. You have to identify what is it that is required, find out the various strategies for that, what the fundamental things, being aware of that, then understanding that, then thinking how it can be implemented, have a plan, implement it, then taking the feedback and improve. This PD cycle kind of thing will help. Now, this exponential or linear, the world is having both models, linear model and exponential model. So in linear model, you take up one after the other. I'm not shunning that. That is also good. But if you take one thing at a time, Peter F. Drucker also said, take one thing at a time and do it in the best possible way. In this, what happens? You take one thing, because you are doing in the best possible way, you complete it quickly. Go for the next one. Go for the next one. Now, other person who is trying for exponential one is still in trying only. So one is taking linear, but being totally focused. The other one is exponential. Today, the world, everywhere it is expounding, whether it is, digital is what is the best example for that, the amount of data you are having. So in this explosive world, linear one will not be useful. Yeah? So you have to come out of the box. I'll give one best example. For instance, this 1G, 2G, 3G, etc. So when Dhirubhai Ambani has left this world, whatever empire was there, it was equally distributed between Mukesh and Anil. And Anil had got the latest one, RCOM, financial services, and subsequently moved to defense production, etc. But what happened today? Anil Ambani has to sell out his personal jewelry to meet the day-to-day expenses of his empire. Now, why this happened? Because he has been thinking in a linear fashion. There are at least 50 examples available in the management field, starting from Kodak, Nokia, etc., which were thinking linearly and they perished. So what we need to think is in an exponential way. It is said, I had one slide, if you take 30 linear steps, suppose one step is 1 meter, it won't be 1 meter, less than that. So you will change from 0.1 to 30 meter. If you take an exponential 30 steps, you would have covered the entire earth 12 times. So that is the difference between linear and exponential. So exponential one is the order of the day. In my BSc course, when they were telling e to the power of x, exponential series, we were not understanding. Now today, that exponential world and the exponential technology, it only means that in the shortest possible time, you have to get the highest returns. So this kind of things are very much required in the highly competitive world.
One more question I have, sir.
Yeah, please.
What are the factors stopping other organizations to work like Vizag Steel?
Nowadays, I wouldn't say that others are not trying, because there is always a difference because of the in which the philosophy with which the public sector works and the private sector works. I'll give an example. Say, when I was shifted, being a metallurgical engineer from HR to marketing, I said, first I'll visit the steel plants in and around Visakhapatnam. So when I went to a steel plant, it is very common. If you're walking on the highway, you will find so much of, these flexi boards, etc. What we call TMT bars. Now TMT bars, every hero, including PV Sindhu, who is from Vizag, and then she was here in the same community where I live. She is the brand ambassador for Visakhapatnam Steel Plant today. Anyway, keeping that aside, she advertised for this TMT bars. TMT is thermomechanically treated bars. This is a special technology. So Visakhapatnam Steel Plant has got a 1 kilometer length TMT bar manufacturing wire rod mill, 1 kilometer length. Way back in 80s, it cost about 1,000 crores. Now, outside, within 5 kilometers of Visakhapatnam Steel Plant, there is XYZ re-rolling mill is there. It is 300 meters. And the equipment is got from Howrah and Jalandhar, the second grade equipment. And there is no safety precautions taken. I should say this in public, but I would say less safety precautions. Yeah. Maybe they're with improved attention and all, they are able to minimize the accident. But he also produces TMT. Visakhapatnam Steel Plant also produces TMT with 1,000 crores. And there the investment is just 100 crores. Now, when it comes to the open market, when I go to the market to buy 8 millimeter TMT bar, my production cost is so high. Whereas that private one hardly is getting labor from Bihar, Bengal border, uneducated people, and handling is done with tongs, primitive method, whatever is it, but the product is serving the purpose. So this is another way of looking at the difference between public and private sector. So public sector, it stands for the overall safety, security, sustainable development. And whereas perhaps in the private sector, the most important focus will be on the profit. I'm oversimplifying it. There are this side also excellent organizations are, that side also not so excellent organizations are also there.
So one more question. This is the question for you.
No, have I answered that? You can repeat that if you have not completed.
Hopefully, sir, that's answered. There is no query on that. And I have one more question for you, that yes, you mentioned about WWW, workplace, workforce. What will be the impact of gig economy on WWW? Gig economy.
Yeah. No, you see, in order to understand the impact, first we have to understand the impact. Once you understand, then you can develop suitable strategies, to cope up with the changes that are likely to come. So if it is workplace, if it is worker, for instance, today in the gig economy, for instance, I'll again draw from Vizag Steel Plant. Vizag Steel Plant, the time I left, you mentioned the number of people at 6.3 million ton stage. Because by the time I left, the construction was not complete, but the manpower analysis, everything, technology selection was done. So now there, with such a huge manpower project going on, there were 1.2 lakh people working at the same time. 1.2 lakh people. And L&T was one contractor like that, all big, renowned contractors were there. So in order to ensure that they are working in a safe way, in order to ensure that they give the maximum, I will just give one example. See, all said and done, nutritious food is important. That is why in every state, the free meals, midday meals, evening meals, morning meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. The governments are falling for such cheap, attractive methods. Keeping them aside, there was one method of organizing good food for them, and that is from ISKCON. See, Akshay Patra scheme, those of you who know who are in Bengaluru, Vizag Steel Plant along with Bhilai Steel Plant has donated nearly 10 crores for this Akshay Patra scheme. And with the result, they have come and established one huge kitchen within 10 kilometers from Visakhapatnam Steel Plant in Coimbatore. They had negotiated with them that whatever Vizag Steel Plant is spending, within the same amount, they will give nutritious and fresh food for that. Almost this was about to be settled. Then, in public sector, what happens? My term is over. Now, due to the various reasons, this did not fructify. But today, Akshay Patra is supplying good food, even in Hyderabad, to at least, I think, about 1 lakh people who are working in the IT industries. So this is one way of looking at it. Yeah, this is one way of looking at how we can make the available things for the common and combined cumulative benefit of the society.
Wonderful, sir.
We have to keep our mind and ears open.
Sir. Yes, sir. Anybody has any questions further to this? I'm just waiting for 1 more minute, and you have been given the attendance and feedback link where you can, fill your data so that your participation certificate will be given to the concerned mail from where you are filling it. Okay, sir. I think there's no further questions and all. And I would like to, extend my sincere thanks to the entire Secretariat of AIMS and members, past presidents and present president, Dr. Nandagopal and Dr. S.S. Prasad Rao, who has just intimated me 2 days back that I should be moderated this session, and I was so excited because Dr. Manohar is here. I always, see him as a leader of excellence, leaders of management practicing guru, because I'm a man from Visakhapatnam. I've seen the way Visakhapatnam steel plant. I'm from both the places, Rourkela as well as Visakhapatnam. I'm born and bred at Rourkela steel plant area, so that I have seen the way you work being a child from my childhood, and I've seen you retiring from Visakhapatnam steel plant. I feel that is my privilege that today I could be, an essence of your wisdom and a part of your knowledge sharing session. And thanks a lot, sir, being with us. On behalf of AIMS, on behalf of faculty, on behalf of students, I sincerely thank you, and warm greetings to you. Have a wonderful year ahead. And yes, sir.
No, see, I find some more questions boring because you asked for the last one, www. I explained W.
Yes.
Already we have exceeded, 16 level. So,
yes, sir.
If you can somebody can kindly forward, I will give written replies to the concerned person.
Fantastic, sir.
Inquisitiveness should be satisfied. And
yes, sir.
Absolutely, whatever is the best answer for that. Because
yes, sir.
100% satisfaction is my goal.
Yes, sir. So thank you, everybody. It is a wonderful session. That God bless all of us, and with a lot of wisdom to do the best thing to society. And goodbye. See you. Thank you very much. Namaskar, sir.